I came to America with only $50, knowing no one in this country, could hardly speak English, even though I was poor, but I was happy because I was free. I came from China as an atheist. I believed nothing but science. I was studying the structure of eye in med school, and I realized that the human eye is so complicated. Trillions of cells has to line up perfectly for visual signal capturing and interpretation. That if any one of those cells gets out of line, the person will be born blind. So I had a big problem, and the atheist me at the time, that how could so many cells form in such a short period of time out of randomness? So I kept on asking a professor, and he said, Ming, what's a cross street? I said, that's a car. He said, what's the difference between a car and a human eye? As a human eye is a lot more complicated. He said, okay, can you imagine how random pieces of metal form itself into a car? I said, no way. And he said, how about human eye? So right there, he opened a window in my life, making me realize that it was formed with a specific purpose for vision. So there's a designer, a creator behind that. And of course, going from that, realizing there's a creator, to eventually become a Christian who realized that the creator has a name in Jesus Christ. Christ died for our sin at the cross. And you know, that's a long process, which was described in my autobiography book, which I have a copy, called From Darkness to Sight. And it's called From Darkness to Sight because it's not just those blind orphan children that our foundation being able to help over the decades, their remarkable journey from darkness to sight, but also how these kids, their courage, have also inspired me to come from my own darkness to light spiritually. It is true, in universities, the majority of the scientists today are not Christians. It's true. So one might conclude then, science and faith is mutually exclusive. You know, that cannot be combined and don't have the common ground. If you study science, by necessity, you will hold a atheist worldview. But as I said, however, what I've learned over my lifetime, which is depicted in my autobiography book, From Darkness to Sight, which now turned into movie Sight now, is that the more science I've learned over decades, you know, I went to school for 31 years to get postdoctoral degrees, you know, PhD in laser physics, and so I studied for a long time. So insofar as I would say I probably have achieved the most amount of knowledge and study the humankind could have. But interesting thing is, as a more science study that I study, more advanced I am in the scientific, the eye field, more, not less, evidence that I've discovered they're pointing to the existence of creator. Because the more mystery that is came through and the less explainable by random collisions by atheist belief. So I told that student last night, I said, yes, there are many scientists are not believers, but if you look at in the history of human scientific pursuit, some of the top scientists, there many of them were believers. So the proportion of scientists who believe in creator actually increases if you go to the highest tier of scientific advancement and expertise. So that is, I encourage a student, you study more science, study harder, because you're gonna discover more advance in your into the greater, you know, the top tier of scientists rank. Then you will actually find the more common ground, not less, between science and faith. The most important thing that brings out by the movie is, even when, this is very relevant for ophthalmologists and our patients, even when there's no light coming from outside, and sometimes despite best effort, some patients, you know, blindness could not be cured, and the medicine is still very challenging. Even when no light is coming from outside, light could emanate from within if one has Christ in one's heart. There's more to life than what we see. There's more to this life than what we see. And that's the theme that the movie is trying to bring out.
Thank you so
Thank you.
much.
Thank
You are just a jewel.
That was Dr. Ming Wang, and the book that he wrote that captures his journey to faith was called From Darkness to Sight, and that was later adapted into a film called Sight. And if you haven't seen or read that book, I'd highly recommend it. All the links will be in the description below for the movie, the book, even Sean McDowell's YouTube and the original video. It reminds me of John chapter 9, and I think it perfectly captures what's going on here between physical and spiritual blindness. I encourage you to reread John chapter 9 and the whole story. But Jesus healed a blind man on the Sabbath, and the Pharisees, who were the religious leaders of the day, didn't believe that Jesus came from God. The Pharisees wanted proof that the man was born blind, which the parents confirmed, but told the Pharisees to ask the son how he was healed because of the key verse here. His parents said this because they were afraid of the Jewish leaders, who had already decided that anyone who acknowledged that Jesus was the Messiah would be put out of the synagogue. After the Pharisees questioned the man again, he tells them the same thing: Jesus healed him. And they had a heated exchange and they threw him out of the synagogue. Jesus heard that they had thrown him out, and when they found him, he said, "Do you believe in the Son of Man?" Now this title, Son of Man, claims deity and fulfillment of messianic prophecy. Read Daniel 7:13-14. "Who is he, sir?" the man asks. "Tell me so that I may believe in him." Jesus said, "You have seen him. In fact, he is the one speaking with you." Then the man said, "Lord, I believe," and he worshipped him. Side note, Jesus didn't deny the worship. This is a supporting verse for the deity of Jesus. Jesus said, "For judgment I have come into this world, so that the blind will see, and those who see will become blind." Some of the Pharisees who were with him heard him say this and asked, "What, are we blind too?" Jesus said, "If you were blind, you would not be guilty of sin. But since you claim you can see, your guilt remains." Jesus is talking about the Pharisees' spiritual blindness and how not only are they deceived, but they are trying to deceive others through fear, trying to prevent anyone who would believe in Jesus as the Messiah. To make this more sharp and clear, Jesus says this in Matthew 6:22. "The eye is the lamp of the body, so if your eye is healthy, your whole body will be full of light. But if your eye is bad, your whole body will be full of darkness. If then the light in you is darkness, how great is the darkness?" Jesus is the light, and if you have him, your body is full of light. But if you don't have Jesus, like the Pharisees, and what you think is light is actually in reality darkness, how dark is that darkness, and how deceived are those that are in that position? The Pharisees were trusting in the light of their traditions and laws and Sabbath upholding. They thought that that was going to bring them salvation, and is actually darkness. They rejected Jesus as the true light. The parallel account of this is in Luke 11. And Jesus has some strong words of anguish for those that claim they can see, but are actually blind. "Woe to you, lawyers! You have taken away the key of knowledge. You did not enter in yourselves, and those who were entering in, you hindered." Not only did the Pharisees reject Jesus, the key of knowledge, the light of the world, which prevented them from entering heaven, they were actively hindering others from entering heaven, using fear, preventing others to acknowledge Jesus as the Messiah. Sadly, this is still happening today. Beware of those that would use fear or excommunication to prevent somebody from coming to faith in Jesus. Jesus is the light of the world, and as one of the most recognizable songs in the world says, "Amazing Grace, I was blind, and now I see." Spiritual blindness is still being cured today, like Dr. Ming discovered through the creator of vision, Jesus. Thanks for watching today, saints, and God bless.